Good afternoon, Wealth Our Way Nation. What is going on? It is your main man, Charles Tank Harris, the founder and chief visionary officer of the financial literacy platform, Wealth Our Way, where our motto is, wealth is not only for the wealthy. I welcome each and every one of you to episode 87, Head of Household. Before we get into what that possibly could mean for everybody, I want to say thank you to each and every person here with me live as I stream across the Wealth Our Way Facebook and YouTube pages. I also want to give the salute to the Wealth Our Way Nation members who watch this program pre-recorded overnight, over the weekend, on a lunch break, wherever they can squeeze 15 minutes of financial literacy in. And then a heartfelt how are you to the good folks of the Life 101 platform who listen to the audio of this very here program. Yo, I got a new shirt yesterday. I got to show y'all because, I get clowned for not having enough shirts. This is Biggie. Rest in peace to the greatest, B.I.G. Big smalls up above. Yo, listen, I was out with my son last night. Had a great time. Got to see my nephew, Jalen Brunson. Shout out to Jalen and the Dallas Mavericks. He had a good game last night. Even though they lost to the Hawks in the season opener on the road, that's fine. Me and the young fella had a great night. And it got me to thinking, while I was out entertaining him and navigating downtown Atlanta and all the traffic, just how important it is to be not just an example for our children, but to show them things that they, normally we may take for granted because we may have been to a game when we were younger or may have, had an experience of going out of town when we were younger, that we don't realize our kids now, because of the information age, because every kid is glued to a phone or a tablet, these outside experiences are very, very important to them. Now, coupled with thinking that through and thinking of how I took my son to dinner, we had a great conversation. He's 13, and it was kind of like a coming of age, just dad, son time. He has 5 older sisters, so there's very few times where it's just me and him. So I wanted he and I just to have that time alone. And one of the things I was kind of emotional yesterday, thinking about how when I was younger, I never had that type of experience with my dad. My dad and my mom, my mom divorced and left my dad when I was like 2 years old, I suppose. And I've never had a conversation with my dad that's lasted more than 5 minutes, and never had a conversation with him when he was sober. So there's that. With that being said, just thinking about the opportunity that I have to pour into my son and my daughters, for that matter, with the experiences that I've had, more importantly, and my man Arion, what's up, Arion, always points out to me that he appreciates that I will talk about the mistakes that I've made. And truthfully, these conversations with you guys would be very short if I didn't talk about the mistakes I made, because I got so many mistakes. It makes the content a lot more fulfilling that I do talk about my mistakes, because I've made so many. I'm sure I'll make more, but life is about overcoming these mistakes. Teaching that to our kids is very important. And everything, I don't know why I got this way. I just say it's a calling that God put on my life. But everything that I think about starts with finances. And people critique me for that sometimes. They say I'm too money focused, too finance centered. It is what it is. I don't argue that point. I always think, like the early Wu-Tang song, that cash rules everything around me. If I don't have enough money to come down to Georgia and see my kids for a week, a month, like I even take it for granted. Like, who gets to do that? Who gets to have the type of career and finances that they can come all the way from New Jersey down to Georgia, spend umpteen dollars lodging, feeding themselves and their kids, still work, still make a living? I'm truly blessed to be able to do that. And I try my best to instill upon my kids that this is not something that I take for granted, nor should it be something that they take for granted, because I am trying to show them an example of how I want them to grow up to be. While I was coming home from the game, I got a text from my main man, who will remain anonymous, talking about some of the things that he's learned on watching the program. And, as I'm reading the text, I'm just happy. I'm sitting there like, man, sometimes when I get on this program, because even though I see you guys in the chat and I love, my core Wealth Our Way 15 Minutes of Finance, Wild Nation family that comes basically every day to hear content. And then I see the views over the course of a week. Normally there's about 8 to 10 of us here during the day, and then we'll get about 40, 50 views during the week. Sometimes I wonder, are you making a difference? Or this time that you're taking every day, is it really sticking? I know you guys love it. You tell me you love it, and I appreciate that. But is it sticking? When I turn off the computer, are you taking some action? Getting this text last night from my homie let me know that action is getting taken. And the one thing that I gleaned out of the entire text that made me the happiest was when he said that he and his wife sit down and have finance meetings in the home. I can't tell you, that's where the whole topic of head of household comes down. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be on that sexist, whether you're the male head of the household or the female head of the household, or whether you're the head of the household in conjunction with your spouse or partner. The reality is that if you're watching this program, you have to be the head of the household. You have to take this information back home, and you have to tell your significant other or your children that this is what we're going to do moving forward. I heard a phrase the other day. One of my clients said to me that his father told him, you can't do everything right, and in the end, things turn out wrong. And that was deep. Now I'm 51 years old. I am sure I've heard a version of that 100 times in my life. But when he said it to me right then, it really stuck and resonated with me, that you can't do everything right and the end result turn out wrong. There's so many mini messages in that. The first one is that we are very quick to say, I did everything right. We those of us who have children remember this, when we were sent into the room to find something by our mom or our dad or our older sibling, and we came back out and said, I looked everywhere. When you realize you couldn't have looked everywhere or you would have found it. So we think we've done more than we've done. So the first part of that phrase is, you can't do everything right. And think about the number of times you've been in a situation that didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out. And your statement was, well, I did everything I could do. Did you really? If we're really grading ourselves as harshly as possible, did we really do everything and do it all correctly? Because if we did, the end result would be what we were seeking. If you did everything right, the end result would be right. Yes, there are external factors. Yes, there are often other people involved in the process. But I'm here to tell you that if you did everything right, part of those things that involved other people or external factors would have been shaped by you, because you would have seen it through. It goes in line with another thing that I heard earlier this year on one of the books that I listened to, where they said you cannot start out with a blueprint for a skyscraper, and when you're done, end up with a boat. Because you can't build a boat from the blueprints of a skyscraper, which lends itself to planning. So if you have a plan and then you put the effort behind that plan, more often, overwhelmingly more often than not, you're going to get the result that you were seeking. So when my man texts me that he and his wife sit down and have financial meetings, all I'm hearing is, oh, they're gonna make what they want to have happen, because they're planning for it to happen. They are creating the environment in which they wish to live. And then once they create that environment, the results gonna come. And I loved it. I just, it really gave me purpose. I think I've had, the month of October has been a really good month. I've gotten 4 referrals for clients. And I, once again, I don't talk a lot about how I actually make money. You guys come on here and everything you see me do is free. When I do a webinar and I think I'm going to charge for a webinar, I end up just giving it away, because still in my own personal growth, I'm torn between making a living, which I do okay, thank you, and wanting to help. And I haven't quite figured out or really focused upon, talking about planning, how the helping will monetize into increasing how I make a living. Right now, all that matters to me is that more and more people hear my voice and act upon the things that I am saying financially. That is really what's important to me. It's almost like when you have a voter registration drive. When I was in college, the people would come on campus and try to get people to sign up to vote. You see it still nowadays. People are out in the streets trying to get people to vote. Anybody who is out handling a voter registration drive has a candidate that they want to win. But I can only attest for myself. I've never been approached or seen a voter registration drive where anybody speaks about a candidate. They just are trying to get you to vote because they have a belief in their heart that if you vote, you'll see what they see and you'll vote for their person. They don't come and try to convince you to vote for their person. They just try to convince you to vote. They want more people doing it. That is how I feel about finances. I never come on here and try and direct you to Wealth Our Way. I don't come on here and try and direct you to any particular firm. I just want you to be more financially literate, more financially conscious, more financially focused. Because if you're those things, I already know I'm that guy. I already know that as you grow and you decide you need to hire or work with someone who's going to guide you to where you need to be, I know you'll come to rock with the best. That doesn't bother me at all. What I need you to do, though, is to understand how important it is to prioritize your finances in your life. More marriages break up over finances than infidelity. More children go wayward because there's not enough finances in the home, normally because it's a single parent home, like an environment in which I grew up in, and resources are strapped. More crime is committed because people don't feel as though they have what they desire. So finances, like I said, going back to my locked in mindset, finances make everything go around and around. Yes, health is incredibly important. Love is important. These things, I will not discount them at all. But for me, it's finances. It's making sure that I am able to provide for those who depend upon me and also provide myself with a quality of life that makes me happy and want to get up the next day. All I thought about when I finished yesterday was how much I needed to work today. I had such a good time with my son yesterday, and I wanted to do more of that. I want to be able to afford more outings like that with him, with his sisters. I was talking to my guy whose son I went to go watch play last night. We talked this morning, and he's coaching one of the top high school teams in the country, and they got games all over the country. And I was telling him, you know what, I might road trip to one of your games. And to be able to afford to do that is something that I have to work to make happen. So I'm always trying to encourage you guys. And the head of household segment today was basically set around you taking the reins in your household. You, as Gandhi said, being the change you wish to see. You setting out, being the example. You setting out, being the voice. You making it important. We got to stop saying, hey, this wasn't taught to me in school. We didn't talk about this around our table at dinner time. You now are the voice. You have to head your household and make this a common conversation. Teach your kids about money at every turn. Be more prudent financially at every turn. Because if you do these things, you will not end up with a boat if you were trying to build a skyscraper. You will not end up with the result that's wrong if you've done everything right. So with that being said, happy Friday. I wish you all a tremendous weekend. And I so look forward to Monday and another episode of 15 Minutes of Finance. And remember what I always tell you guys, wealth is not only for the wealthy. You guys have the greatest of weekends. Take care.